Welcome, everybody, to the Canuckleheads Offseason Podcast, Episode 3. My name is Justin. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Wes. This will probably be the last off-season podcast we do. The preseason kicks off right away here, and that's kind of when we consider it the start of the podcast here. So hockey's close. Hockey is very close.
Yep.
But before we get to some on-ice play here, we have some news to discuss. So we haven't done one of these for a little while here. So the last bit of news I have is from July 27th. Joni Jurmo was named to Finland's roster at the 2022 World Juniors. Left side, left shot D-man. One of only 3 Canucks prospects, I believe, to play in this tournament. So kind of a little bit sad in that regard, but at least we have a couple prospects playing.
Yeah.
August 2nd, 2022, the Canucks announced that Marko Terenis, something like that, as their new goaltending development coach and goalie coach of Abbotsford. He was the goalie coach of SK SKAs in St. Petersburg in the KHL from 2014 to 2022. So to me, I don't know anything about the guy. I'm not entirely sure which goalies he's coached or developed, but for him to be there for 8 years, whatever that is, that
shows he's good.
Yeah, he was obviously doing something right. So interesting signing there. So he'll work with the guys in Abbotsford. Then some big news. September 2nd, 2022, the Canucks announced that they've re-signed JT Miller to a 7-year, $56 million extension. So that's $8 million per year. And I kind of want to clarify something before I've been a big advocate of trading JT Miller, but I'm also not upset by the fact that they signed him. I felt like we all have our own opinions, right? And I love JT Miller, and he's a great player, so I'm not mad that he's back. I'm happy that he's back, and it gets rid of all the talk for now.
Yeah.
For me, the best move was to trade him to kind of build behind Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes and Demko. But now with the signing, it kind of means this is time.
Yeah, I know. I totally got where you're coming from the entire time, because it's not very often you have a trade like that in the pipeline. You know what I mean? It's very seldom you have a player of that high of value that you can trade and that a lot of teams are looking at. So it's one of those situations sometimes, especially from the Benning era, we don't have many picks. So it's one of those things we could have got picks plus assets.
And at the time, too, everything was screaming towards a JT Miller trade, right? The fact that they weren't close on extensions for the last we heard, around the draft and things like that. So it seemed like just trading him was the best thing to do, or we were going to lose him in free agency. He would just walk.
Yeah. And I like how you mentioned kind of the Kadri deal was kind of the benchmark. I think everyone was waiting for that, like you said. And then once that happened, right shortly after, you seen the Miller deal get done.
I think the Kadri one really kind of reset the market. Maybe it was kind of getting a little bit out of control, but then Kadri goes to the Flames and on a pretty decent contract, it could have. I think he could have got a lot more money, but
he said there was money left on the table. Yeah. So, but I think he chose Calgary over a couple other teams.
Yeah. So I think that helped a lot. And if Miller is the player he has been for 4 or 5 years of this deal, that's a long window to win, a decent window.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see now. There's talks for Bo getting an extension. I think that'll happen.
Oh, it has to.
But how do you balance things out now? Because it seems like we have a little bit of a not this year, but I guess next year. I'd have to look up who expires next year to really see what our cap is. But
it's getting tight.
Yeah, there's that PD contract looming in 2 years now too, which is coming up quick. So that might be a big one. So it's just I'm glad to have Miller back. I'm glad that the summer of JT Miller trade speculations is over, because I was getting kind of sick of it. I think everybody was a little bit.
100%. And what I'm really going to enjoy seeing is when there was all those talks about Brock getting traded, I think it was last year, JT Miller comes skating up to him up in warm-ups, and he goes, I thought you were getting traded.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for Best to do the same thing to him this year.
But it's nice to have Miller back. I think he's it's hard to say, right? You never know how a player's going to age. Yeah. I think we have a good couple years of very high quality JT Miller hockey
Yeah,
left.
that's what I think too.
We'll see what happens the last half. I think his last 3 years there's a modified no trade clause.
Yeah.
I would have to double check that, but
He does play that style though. It's the kind of that hard nosed style where it's hard to maintain that for a long time.
yeah.
So we'll see how he ages. Like you said, we could get a good 4 years out of him at peak JT Miller,
Yeah.
and who knows after that.
The thing that he's got going for him too, and why I think Bo will age pretty gracefully too, they haven't played a ton of playoff hockey.
No, that's
right?
true.
Like the guys I think of that kind of play a more physical, like Kessler played a lot of playoff hockey.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taves played a lot of playoff hockey. Not necessarily the most physical guy, but just played a lot of hockey.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens to some of the Lightning guys, right? Like finals 3 years in a row. Who knows what's going to happen? I think they're still going to be a contender, but just as an example there.
It wears on you over time.
Yeah, like it's a lot of extra games.
Yeah, and it's so much more intense in the playoffs too.
Like the Lightning have probably played like 300 games.
Yeah, it's
over
been
the last
ridiculous.
3 years.
Yeah, I don't expect them to be able to hold that up too much longer. That's a lot on all those guys, and they pretty much have the same squad. Obviously, some pieces had to get moved around this year, but they've done a good job of keeping their squad intact.
And then just to keep up with the news here, we'll probably cycle back to the JT Miller stuff, but September 9th, 2022, the Canucks announced that they've signed Danny DeKeyser to a PTO. DeKeyser's 32 years old, left side defenseman. Spent the last 10 years with the Red Wings. He signed with them out of college. I remember him being a pretty sought-after free agent out of college. So we'll see what happens there. He's a PTO, so it's not like a firm contract. It's the same thing as Chase on last year, right? Had to earn a contract with the team. So,
and this just shows you how much I know. Justin told me we signed him. I go, who's that? So we'll see if he what he does in training camp and if he makes the squad.
Yeah. Another interesting thing, right? Another left side defenseman. So it's big traffic jam on the left side.
Yeah, and I think they're kind of just loading up in case of injury and stuff like that. I don't think he makes the squad, but who knows?
Yeah, unless he, just absolutely
turns it
but he's
on.
more of a defensive guy too, so
the only person he could really push out is Dermott, maybe
or like Rathbone, but they gave Rathbone a one-way deal, so I think Rathbone's kind of on the team. So one thing that we should talk about too, actually, with this defenseman signing is, so recently on Twitter, kind of the beat writers for the Canucks, I've been hearing a lot of things of like maybe Quinn Hughes playing on the right side. So you do that, right? Like,
he's a versatile guy. I could see it happening. It's just, he's played on the left side for so long. I'd hate to see him have to switch just because we don't have the right-handed defenseman that we need.
But here's an interesting thing, though. In the development camp, or the Young Stars games when Quinn Hughes was first drafted, he did play on the right side, and his partner on the left side was Jack Rathbone.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, like, if anybody on the blue line could do it, I would put the most money on Quinn Hughes.
Me too.
It makes the most sense. Like, he's so good that I don't think there would be much of an adjustment period. And then you have, like, OEL, Quinn Hughes, again, could be your top pair, with OEL playing his natural side.
Yeah.
Like, that to me, like, sounds really appealing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. And then, you have options like Myers is going to be your second pair right side guy.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of rotate in the left guy too, right? Like, and same thing, like Shen would probably be your
third line.
Yeah. And then you have Rathbone, Dermott, Burrows, like all those guys
that can pop in and out.
So to me, I would like to see Quinn Hughes play some right side minutes, especially in the preseason, just to see like how it goes. I think that's a smart move to try. Same thing with OEL. Like, if OEL can do it, like,
those are the two guys I'd have my money on. Obviously, Quinn being the best of those two, but I like Quinn on the left side. I'd hate to see him have to change, but it is what it is.
If it works, though, like, I'm kind of all for it.
I love how he just knocks pucks out of there. Like, I feel like he's so comfortable on that side. I'm sure it'd be the same thing on the right side.
Yeah, it would be a little bit of an adjustment, but he skates so good that he could get himself out of trouble, no problem. So there'll be definitely some interesting things to see on the blue line because, the roster's pretty much set. Like,
we didn't improve the blue line as much as we wanted, and they admitted that. So.
And I think now too with the JT Miller signing, right? Like the biggest plan is just improvement from within, right? Like you want Quinn Hughes to take that next step. You want Demko, Petey, Besser, Colson, right? Like,
we got some monsters.
And kind of when I saw a tweet too, I should have saved this because it was actually a really good point. Some guy set out or tweeted out that there's only like 4 guys that he considers like past their prime on this team, being Pearson, OEL, Myers, and Shen. So really, like, if the rest of the team takes a step up, like that's a pretty big deal. Yeah. I don't know if I would agree with Shen being past his prime.
Neither would I. I think he's played his best hockey in the past 2 years.
Yeah, I think he's still kind of...
He's aging like a fine wine.
He really is, yeah. A fine rugged wine. Throw some monstrous hits. But yeah, like the OEL, I don't know either if I would fully agree with that. We'll see. Like,
he definitely doesn't have the same offensive flair he used to, but he can defend, man. People overlook his skill going backwards, but man, he is second to none. I've seen a lot of good things out of him. So
yeah, with OEL, I think he does still have the offense. He just doesn't have the role.
Yeah, that's true. Because if he was playing more power play minutes, you would have seen those assists go away.
And we saw it when he did get that chance. Like when he had that 4 3-point game, goal and 2 assists or something like that. So like the offense is still there. I think he would have more goals too, right? Like we talked about this last time. He got pucks through like constantly and just nothing really happened with him. So if he does that again, like he'll have a really solid year.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned with OEL yet.
Neither am I.
Myers, like, who knows which Myers we're gonna get this year? He did have a pretty solid year last year, probably his best. Yep. Yeah, like you said last time. Yeah. Outside of the 1 goal. Yeah. Which I'll drop after this now. So yeah, I don't think Myers is really past his prime either. He's probably around like the end of it.
I would say he's plateaued. Yeah. Like he's not getting any better. Yeah. You know what you have in Myers, and that's the same with OEL. Like if anything, his contract's just gonna keep kind of aging downward over time. But we kind of knew that going into that contract, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
and with Pearson, I think I'd probably agree with that, but he's not a useless player.
He's a great 4th liner. Stop trying to slot him into the top 2 lines. I hate it. I'm over it. 4th line at best. Get him out of here.
But yeah, by far the biggest news of the offseason has been the JT Miller signing. That's it kind of solidifies everything too. And from like what Bruce Boudreau has said, we're not going to see the Lotto line from what I would guess. Like it's going to be Miller, Petey, and Bo are our centers, and like that's it. So it kind of like we'll have to do a reset here right away, but we're going to re-talk our line combinations in kind of the next segment because that does change kind of everything.
It does, yeah.
Not for you because you had JT Miller in your roster.
But I do believe that we've seen enough of the Lotto line. I don't really think they beat it to death, and I don't really think they got the production out of that line they wanted. Of course, they had great stats otherwise. There was, like, I've seen a lot of stats coming up, and they did good, but it's just... I think there's other combos out there, especially with Pods kind of on his way up, and you got Garland, and you just got some fun pieces to slot in and out. So there's no reason to beat that line to death.
And like I wouldn't, it's funny how we agree on so much, but we actually are like have like dissimilar things.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind seeing the Lotto line again because I want to see Miller with no contract worries. I want to see Petey hitting the ground running, having a training camp, played a full season. I want to see Best with a fresh mind. I want to see like what those guys can do together now, like when they can all just play the game, right? Nobody's worried about a contract. Everybody just wants to go out and play.
The only person might be JT Miller. You might see that big money jitters come out of him like you did Petey, but who knows? Petey missed a lot of hockey. JT hasn't.
Yeah, I don't think so. Just because
I think he's a mentally strong guy. I'm not saying Petey's not,
and he's a lot older than Petey too, right?
He's an experienced guy, and he's been on a few teams. And I think we'll see a good year out of Miller if he gets anywhere even 75 points, 80 points. I'm happy.
Yeah, but also you got to remember that his contract doesn't kick in until next year. So
he's still that's true. 5.5 or whatever.
So nothing really changes. He's just set for the next 8 years.
Yeah.
So also congratulations to JT Miller. Earned this contract.
He was the best player on our team last year.
Yeah, also probably left money on the table. Like
he wanted to play in Vancouver. Yeah, there's no doubt.
Is huge, especially too right after you see everything that happened in Calgary. There was like all this speculation of like, Americans don't want to play in Canada and things like that. And they asked him too. They interviewed JT Miller, and he said that like it's probably just personal preference between each guy. And he did say specifically he wanted to be in Vancouver. So
well, and when you think about it too, like it's not very often you come across a goalie like Thatcher Demko, and he probably has a lot of confidence in him, and he's like, we can make a push. You know what I mean? In his mind, he knows he's one of the lead guys, and he can make a push. I think that's just good chemistry all the way around, and I think they're going to do it.
Yeah, so. And that was another thing he said too, is that he sees the future of the team, and that was another reason why he wanted to stay. So
and giving Pods praise
a lot.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. Okay, so we discussed our potential lineups on the last episode, I think. Mm-hmm. Wes and I are gonna combine forces here and fill out a roster now that it's pretty set. Like, I think the first preseason game is 9 days away, which is very exciting. I'm pumped. I can't wait.
I have preseason hockey so much, and honestly, we have some guys like I think they're gonna slot Jeff Wu in or
Jet Wu.
Yeah, there we go. I knew it was wrong there, but I'm excited to see what he can do because apparently his numbers were pretty good last year down low. So I'm excited to see a couple players get a crack and see what they can do.
Yeah. I should mention too, actually, I don't think it's preseason hockey. I think it's the Young Stars. No, it is preseason, yeah.
It's coming up.
It's the preseason at the 26th, I think.
Yeah.
Because they do the split squad in Calgary and Vancouver.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny you mentioned Jet Wu, actually.
He did really good last year.
He had a weird year because they played him at forward for a little bit too.
That's like Burrows too, man. We kind of slotted him into the forward position, which was weird, but he always throws the hits no matter what.
Yeah, so. Burrows is just an energy guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's discuss our rosters. So let's go over a top line here, Wes.
Line one or what? Are we going?
Or do you want to start with the defense? Defense is easy. Okay. Let's goalies. Demko Martin. Done.
Yeah. Done.
We both agree on that.
Yeah.
So defense, I kind of want Quinn Hughes on the right side. I don't know if that's a permanent fixture. It's
probably our most reliable guy to put there. So
what would you go? What would your ideal defense look like?
Well, and I hate putting my boy Luke Shen down to the third pairing, but like honestly, I like Huggy and Shenner.
And like, I don't really have an issue with that either. Yeah. As long as Shen does what Shen does, right?
Exactly.
Like, he's at the stage too where you got to watch him a little bit. Like, got burned once or twice, but that's like totally fine. He was a top pairing defenseman last year.
Yeah, he's a bit of a truck. You know he's not going to move super fast, but he's usually positionally pretty aware. And he's not the guy trickling into the zone, so he's usually back pretty quick.
Yeah.
Good on him. I hope that's maybe still our first pairing, but they might be trying to move away from that.
So I can agree with that if we go Hughes, Shen on top pairing. So obviously OEL Myers, right? Like that's just kind of a given.
The two towers on D. Yeah. Like it would be so hard to get past those two, man. That's a good pair.
Yeah, it is decent.
And I think it makes Myers kind of elevate his game a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he knows like, okay, I have to perform with this guy or I'm...
Yeah, like OEL can kind of run the show on his own. So like Myers doesn't have to, because I think Myers can do like a 80% good job of doing that. Yeah. So it just helps him out a little bit.
Yeah.
So the third pairing, I want to see Rathbone. I think you do too.
100%.
Who's our bottom pairing right D-man?
I kind of don't like seeing Dermott get pushed out of the lineup though. I like Dermott.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle between him and Burrows. And
I think training camp's going to show it all, man.
Yeah.
Someone's going to really stand out and that's who they're going to go with. It's tough to say who's going to be on that right side, honestly.
I think I'd slot in Dermott just because he's got experience.
Yeah.
I think he's roughly the same age as Burrows.
And he can skate, man.
Yeah.
People overlook his skating, I feel like. His skating is pretty damn good.
Yeah. But then also, like, there's the case for Burrows, too, right? Like, he's more of a defensive guy.
Throws the boom.
Yeah, like, so you could have him out there with Rathbone and probably not worry too much. But, yeah, that one's going to be a training camp thing.
Yeah.
I don't mind throwing Burrows or Dermott in that spot.
Yeah, and I think they just give Rathbone the left side. I think it's kind of a battle for that right slide third pairing.
Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be a camp thing, but let's just say Dermott's in there for right now.
Yeah, I think just with his, and I hate to say size because Burrows, he doesn't play like a small guy whatsoever. But I think they might just go with Dermott. But we'll see.
I often forget that Burrows isn't a big guy just because of the way he plays.
Yeah, he plays with no fear. He'll lay the hits on anybody.
Yeah.
And he makes it look easy sometimes. Yeah. Like, he is a talented hockey player.
So let's start with the bottom line because I think that's fairly easy to sort out. It's going to be Lazar. Dickinson probably will be on the wing. And, like, I've heard talks of people wanting to throw Hoglander on there just to, like, let him get his confidence back. To me, I kind of want Pearson there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
100%. I don't like. I know we pay Pearson like $3 million or whatever, and that's kind of why I think they're playing him up a little bit, is just to get their monies out of him. But I'm just over it, man. I like Dickinson too. I'm completely.
So we'll have
a
line that Wes hates 2/3.
Yeah. But I don't like. Obviously, our coach Boudreau, he likes to play all 4 lines, and that's a good thing because it keeps the top lines fresh.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see Dickinson or Pearson on the ice too much this season. I think they're both kind of.
Yeah, Dickinson will be there because you can't trade him. Pierce might have some value. I would like to see.
And then who plays center on that line?
Lazar.
Yeah. I forgot about him. That's going to be an interesting. I think he's going to win a lot of faceoffs, and it'll kind of take some pressure off Bo, and that'll be nice.
Honestly, like, it's actually kind of a luxury having Dickinson on that 4th line then, right? Like, if Lazar gets kicked out, you have
he can get in.
Yeah, and like...
That's true.
I know probably you want to match your 4th line up against a second or top line, but maybe Dickinson has improved his faceoffs too. We'll see.
He better.
Yes, he better. So let's go on the 3rd line, and things kind of get interesting there, right? Like, is it going to be Bo? Is it going to be Petey? Like, who's your 2nd line center? I would say Petey.
Yeah, I think...
Or sorry, 3rd line, I would say Petey.
Yeah, it's just stuck in my head that 3rd line is like a demotion. But like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But Boudreau plays all 4 lines so consistently. It's not really.
Yeah, kind of the way I look at our roster is it's line 1, A, B, and C. Yeah. And then we have a 4th line. Like, it's just the way our forwards are, it's going to be...
We're deep.
Yeah, or like maybe there's a line 1, a line 2A, and a 2B kind of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is.
Let's go down the middle. For me, JT Miller is the top line center because I think that's the way Boudreau sees it too. He said it.
Bo is a little bit more consistent though.
Yeah, I would have Bo on the 2nd line, like 2nd line, right?
Yeah.
And PD 3rd.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with any of those. Like like you want a Miller on the 3rd, PD on the 1st, whatever. I don't have an issue with any of that.
Yeah, and I think you might see a little bit of change up here and there, but I think. For the most part, that's probably how it's going to be. And
I think ice time will be pretty balanced, and just whoever is having a better game that night, they're going to see the ice a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
So those are our centers. We got Miller, Bo, Petey, Lazar, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do then the wing, the right wing. So
I think the way down, 1st line first.
Yeah, I think Best is obviously top line right winger.
Yeah, 100%, and I think he is going to crush it this season.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I actually would really like Podkolzin, Miller, Besser as our 1st line. Because they played together last year. Miller loves pods.
Yeah, he does.
There's chemistry between Miller and Besser.
And Miller proved he's a dish machine. Like, he could set those 2 up for days.
And Besser's an underrated playmaker. Podkolzin's got just as lethal of a shot as Besser almost.
Yeah, he's, for a young guy, he can fire the puck. So
I like that line.
Yeah.
Especially if Podkolzin keeps getting better and like there's not kind of that rookie, that 2nd year slump. Which I don't really think will happen just because the way he plays the game.
His mentality, his strength, I think he's going to do
good. He's more of a straightforward player. Like Hoglander, you could kind of see it because he plays more of a skill game, right?
Yeah.
Guys kind of figure you out in that 2nd year, so there's a bit of a battle there. But I don't really see a sophomore slump for Podkolzin.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he does just like the same, but even then, that's not bad. Like,
yeah,
20 years old.
And with that line, like, it opens up Garland to be on the right side of Bo, which I would not mind seeing whatsoever.
Yeah. So we got, let's say our top line is Pods, Miller, Besser.
Yeah, I think so. Because Horvat and Garland can both kind of play in the gutter, play dirty along the boards, and Garland will be doing his little tornadoes and dish out to Bo out front for the fucking snap in. Like, I think that's a good combo, but then who's on the left side of that?
I like Kuzmenko.
Do you think Garland makes 2nd line and not playing with Petey? Because him and Petey, that's a magic.
Now that you say that, I kind of want him with Petey. I like Garland and Petey. What, like, Mikheyev, Garland, Petey? I don't know.
I forgot about Mikheyev. We are so deep on forward, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I kind of like that line. I don't know, like, we've never seen Petey with just a straight-up speedster before.
That's true.
I think if that would help get more value out of the Mikheyev contract too, right? Because Mikheyev's going to put up more points if he plays with Petey.
Yeah.
Garland plays such a different game where I think Petey is smart enough to have figured it out.
Yeah, I think maybe you even see Yeah, that's crazy. Mikheyev, Horvat, and Garland. That'd be
That'd
kind
be a
of
good
cool.
line too. And then you have Kuzmenko, Petey, Hoglander.
Hogs on the right side, yeah. Yeah, I could see that. And honestly, I like Kuzmenko, Petey. I think both of them can pass the puck really well.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting
So
to see.
Kuzmenko, Petey, Hoglander? That's our third line?
I think so. I hope so.
All right, and then second line, Mikheyev, Bo, Garland.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Honestly, I think Mikheyev is pretty interchangeable there. You could play him on any one of those three lines, and he's just going to add speed, and he's going to add that net front where he can just chip it in out front.
The whole left side, outside of like Dickinson or Pearson, whoever's going to play on that bottom line, is you can kind of, I see him fit anywhere. It's just finding the right matchup. But,
and it's kind of funny, the right side's a little bit different.
Yeah, the right side's pretty locked in.
Yeah.
Outside of Garland is the only real one.
I think you might see Garland and Bess maybe a little bit just to switch things up, give a new look. But other than that, I think those two are top line right-hand side.
Yeah. So, that's kind of our new roster now going into training camp for
now that we know JT Miller's locked up, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, I think everybody's happy about.
Yeah.
But that's a good segment there. It really is nice to be done with the trade talks.
Oh my God, it's getting exhausting.
It just seemed like all summer that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know if it's just kind of self-torture or something, but every once in a while you'd be like, when's it going to happen? And then you kind of get yourself sucked back into it and you're like, oh, I'm done with this for a week. And then
the only trade that I was kind of excited about, if it was going to happen, was that Jesper Brad and Severson.
Yeah.
That little rumor that was going around, but I didn't like how Hogs was kind of in the mix on that trade.
Yeah,
but,
I'd rather keep Hoglander.
Yeah, 100%. And Miller's worth it to where but the whole contract situation there would have been kind of... So I get why that didn't happen, and I'm happy we kept Miller, but that was the only one where I was like a right-hand D-man.
Yeah.
That would have been nice.
Yeah.
But
we'll see. I think the biggest plan for the Canucks now is team defense, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how you got to improve your blue line.
It's not just the blue line's job to defend; it's everyone's job.
And that was another thing that JT Miller was asked in his interview was like, "Is it like the defense's fault?" And he's like, "No, it's when he thinks of defensive hockey, it's like a 5-man group, right?
Yeah.
Like
especially the centerman and the D-men.
Yeah, and so often like the defensemen get blamed, right? Like you see a goal go in, you're like, oh, what the fuck? Like but it's a whole thing, right? Like you usually forwards score and forwards usually cover I'm making a shitty point here now that I think about it, but
no, I get what you're trying to say though.
Yeah, but it's like a whole team thing. So I don't know, Boudreaux seemed a little bit more to play a run and gun style, which suited the team.
Yeah, I think Travis Green was a little over defensive, and that hurt us.
Yeah, kind of.
We have shooters, man. We have scorers, so don't try to pull the reins back too hard. Let the guys be offensive, but be responsible at the same time. This
is, to me, kind of like a old school Edmonton Oilers kind of team where it's like, we're going to win games like
by outscoring our problems.
By like 6-5 or something. But, well, I guess we have Demko though, so
that's the game changer. We're going to win
games like 6-2.
And we have Spencer Martin. I'm high on Spencer Martin, man. Like now I'm not scared when we have our backup in that. Like Halak literally looking at the bench like, come on, man.
Yeah, get me out of here.
Like that's just terrible. And that you won't see one moment of that out of Spencer Martin.
I think Martin's just very glad to have a legit roster spot basically locked up.
100%.
Okay, and lastly here to kind of round out the off-season episode here, some of the Canucks have been getting back to Vancouver. I believe JT Miller, again, said in his interview he was going to be here the weekend that we're recording this. So there's been a lot of guys hitting the ice and like doing drills and stuff like that. Hoglander was on the ice again, so it's good to see him after his injury from last year. Him and Pods were out with Demko, and there was a pretty nice 2-on-0 where Demko looked mid-season form, made a huge pad save.
Yeah, hopefully didn't pull his groin on that one because that was a dirty one. But I mean, the chemistry between Podkolzin and Hoglander, wow. Yeah, like the passing there, I was like, Jesus Christ, you might see them on a line just because of that.
Yeah, you can tell like they have a pretty good relationship on and off the ice, so which is nice.
Well, and they asked Hogs about pods in an interview, and he just lights right up.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell they love each other. So that's what we need. Like, these guys have each other's backs like no other, and they know where each other are. It's kind of that Sedin thing. You know where each other are going. You know where to dish the puck to get a goal. Just Demko's unstoppable. So
yeah, so it is exciting. Hockey is very close. Like we said, like a lot of the guys are in Vancouver because Manco's in Vancouver. It's been fun seeing him. He did some kind of like scrimmage with a bunch of kids where he's just bullying them over.
Kids.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing, man? It was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's how you do it in Russia, I guess. But yeah, he looked like he was having fun, and like, he seems like he's got a good personality. So it's
When I seen him just cross-check that kid, I'm like, oh my god, man.
No mercy.
No, it's awesome.
But yeah, we'll kind of, I think we'll start every weekend, probably first weekend of October.
I think right when the preseason starts.
Yeah, I think there's the 2 games, so we can talk about those, and then we'll do it that weekend. So that's how we'll do it. But yeah, full steam ahead right away here for us. Yeah. I hope everybody had a nice summer, even though it felt like it wasn't summer till like July almost.
Yeah,
so,
it was a weird one.
Yeah, it felt like it was quick, but it's like, what is it, September 12th today or something?
Yeah.
It's like plus 32 today. So.
Yeah, it's getting late in the season, but we still got some nice weather. Yeah.
But yeah, enjoy kind of the rest of the nice weather here before it's dark in the morning and dark when you go home from work, and it's hockey all the time. Yeah. All right. If you like the podcast, go check us out on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, everywhere there's podcasts.
Yep. Another one in the bag.